And it is time once again for another AEW Dynamite review here on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. Hi, I'm Mr. Warren Hayes. We're coming in a little late today, a little later than usual. We're a little late. We're not exactly on time where we've been expected, fashionably late kind of thing, but also maybe just plain old late. Maybe just plain old irresponsibly late. Oh, I apologize. But the important thing is that we are still here. We are all together, and we are going to talk about last night's episode of AEW Dynamite, the November 6th, 2020, the November 6th, that's what I get for being late, November 6th, 2024 edition of AEW Dynamite, which is typically what we do on Thursdays, right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. We're on your favorite podcast application. By the way, thank you very much for being here. Likes on the YouTube channel would be greatly appreciated. 5-star reviews, 5-star ratings, all that stuff. That would be like, that's all, it's tremendous. Let's just dive right in because I am recording this late on the Thursday, and I will be streaming if you're able to squeeze this in before the end of the day on Thursday. I will be streaming at 7:30 p.m. So I got to get this done. I got to put this in the can. I got to send that out there to all the well-wishers so that they can listen to this before coming and listening to me stream live for a bit. Talking about pro wrestling, of course. So let's see what we got here for the November 6th, 2024 Dynamite that happened in Manchester, New Hampshire at the SNHU Arena, which you could also pronounce as 2,416 tickets were distributed for this show. A venue debut on top of that, according to WrestleTix, all of this as well. So first time there, and so on and so forth. Ticket sales not great, etc., etc. I do want to point out one thing though, and I think this is important to. I think it's important to make a note of now, because I think that even in the lead into Allin, let's say since this summer, right? Since the middle of the summer, I think AEW has done a very good job overall creating stories and continuity and maintaining logic throughout the show. Is it perfect? No, of course not. You just have to look at the Chris Statlander stuff to just, sit there and shrug. But for everything else, though, and when I say everything else, for the vast majority of what's being presented on the shows, even from the lower card stuff all to the top, I think they've been doing a very good job creating continuity, creating situations, taking advantage of some really smart booking to create matches that have a little more gumption to them, right? Where it's like, oh, well, this makes sense. This all connects, right? Yeah. And it goes all the way down to, giving wins on television to people who don't usually get wins, so that when because they let's say for instance they have a match coming up with someone that might be slated a little higher than them in the hierarchy, so that they don't come across as complete jabrones when they lose. Oh, they've got a couple of wins under their belt. They did that with Commander and Kyle Fletcher. Which, by the way, is a must-see match, right? I don't talk about the Collision anymore, like I did for a while before the incident. I had weekly Collision reviews, but I still watch Collision, and the Kyle Fletcher Commander match that happened on Collision this week, the November 2nd one, is you absolutely have to go out of your way to see it. Like, that was a tremendous match, a great match. Actually. So, they had Commander win a couple of matches in the lead up to that. And I think that's cool. I think that's some smart booking. Look at what they did with Shelton Benjamin, right? Shelton Benjamin comes in, he goes in, gets 2 wins. You know, he defeats Lio Rush. He defeats Sammy Guevara, only to be fed ultimately to Swerve. But you've established that the guy is a guy who can beat other guys, which is weird to say. But, you know, like Lio Rush right now, not exactly the highest on the totem pole, but still, you know, clearly establishes that Shelton Benjamin is on another lane. Sammy Guevara, you know, an AEW original, you know, has a certain amount of notoriety and name value to AEW fans. Well, he was able to defeat him as well. So that establishes Shelton as, you know, a credible threat for the champ, and it worked out really well, if you ask me. You know, like, you know, when Swerve finally, when Swerve got his match, the match felt special. It was like, oh shit, here we go. It's Shelton. Let's make it happen. And it was really tremendous. And as for the rest of the card, they've really been doing a great job weaving all sorts of stories, setting up a lot of breadcrumbs, and a lot of these breadcrumbs have already had some payoffs, and or at least, you know, have created directions at the very least, if not payoffs. I think there's a lot that they are doing really, really well these days. So, you know, attendance right now is a bummer, and ultimately AEW has themselves to blame, I believe. They also have WWE getting hot again to blame. You know, there's a lot of circumstances here. You know, when you look at attendance, when you look at ratings, and, you know, they're not shining great, you know, they're not shining through and being spectacular. There are signs that the company is getting its act together, that it's straightening out. And week after week now, we're getting more good episodes of Dynamite than bad ones. Just like last night's Dynamite as well. I think it was a good episode. Let's get to it. Let's start talking it down. Let's start breaking it down. But the point that I wanted to make just before we do get into it, the point I'm trying to make is, I think the show's better. It's feeling that there's a direction. It feels more quality, but it's unless lightning strikes, it's going to take a little time to build it back up to the point where the weekly TV is compelling enough for people to tune in, to get hot again, and for people to buy tickets to the weekly TV. We are not talking about the pay-per-views. The pay-per-views are absolutely fine. But the rest, the weekly tapings, that's a whole other can of worms. But I sincerely believe that if they stick to what they do best and try to stop emulating the other guys, I think that is their ticket to getting back some of the share, maybe not all of the share, but some of the share that they had claimed for their own, and which made it out the gate look like a rampaging success. Anyway, the Hurt Business opened up the show again this week, starting off with the promo. I'm going to start pointing it out now, like I did last week. It feels like the days of Dynamite starting with a match are behind us. This is what's been happening on the reg, starting off with people in the ring cutting promos, just like the other guys do. Now, don't get me wrong, this was good, but all I'm saying, and what we've been saying from the start with AEW, and one of the reasons I think why it was compelling, is that it wasn't a WWE product. It wasn't a WWE lookalike. It was trying to do something different. It was trying to break some tropes that WWE had driven into the skulls of pro wrestling fans as this being the way to do things. And we haven't been deprogrammed yet, and we're not going to get deprogrammed from that if we continue opening shows with promos like this. But look, it's with the Hurt Syndicate, right? And I am admittedly going to start taking it. I'm going to take an L here. I'm going to take an L. At least, because it's been good, okay? Like, I'm going to take an L because I've never said that the Hurt business coming into AEW would be a disaster. That I never said. What I have always purported was that I was not excited at the idea of them coming in and rehashing an old WWE gimmick. And all my reasons are there. I don't want to rehash them, but they've all been out there. Coming back, doing something that they were doing in WWE and just making an extension of that, all kind of worried me. Bobby Lashley, I think he's a great prospect, and I like Bobby Lashley a lot. He's always been a guy that I've always enjoyed, but he's also a guy who has never moved business. So I'm like, well, why are we bringing him in and probably throwing a ton of money at him if he doesn't have a proven track record in any way, shape, or form? All right. But I got to tell you, this act with has been really good so far, and I'm compelled. So, any reservations that I had in this regard were false, and I'm taking an L. I am officially taking the L on this one. Right up until Bobby Lashley has a match and stinks up the joint, that'll be a whole other situation. But so far, the hire of these guys, but specifically MVP, has been a tremendous hire. And MVP has been the cornerstone of this, and he has been good. He's been on point every time, compelling. And this promo that he cut to get their little trio even more over than they already are was exquisite. Like, good old-fashioned managerial promo, putting the guys over, using the gift of gab, as they used to say, to put his guys over and establish that they are that they are the force to be reckoned with, and and you believe him. He's just putting over all of their credentials in wrestling, outside of wrestling. And they all look like they were poured into those suits. Like the suits were designed around them. No, they didn't take measurements. They stood there as they took the cloth and sewed it together around their bodies. It was a fantastic all-star promo from MVP, adding to the mystique of this group. It was incredible. Just absolutely incredible. And if anything, it underscores just how much Vince McMahon had ended up devaluing the role of a manager in his company, right? He had done this for years, right? He didn't want managers anymore. He wanted the valets, right? And in the certain circumstances where he would have a manager, right? In the pro wrestling sense, he'd have them called by any other name than manager, right? They'd be advocates. They'd be especially, they'd be assistants. They would be special counsels or whatever the fuck. All to dance around the word manager, which of course Vince hated because it was pro wrestling related and Vince hated wrestling. So when you get back to its purest form, I guess, in a sense, when you distill it down to its best shape, having a manager is tremendous. MVP here was remarkable. It was a compelling, great segment. The guys come across as stars, as beasts. It's a phenomenal act. So I'm admittedly, look, I'm already throwing in the towel, but I reserve the right to come back and say I was right if Bobby Lashley starts having stinkers. which I don't think he will. But I reserve the right. I'm humble enough to tell you when I'm wrong. I'm humble enough to tell you when I'm right too. That's what humility is, right? It works both ways. Anyway, basically, he like I said, he puts over both guys' accomplishments and basically, calls out Swerve. He says that we didn't want to make enemies out of Swerve. We wanted to help him, and then Swerve does come out and he's mad, and he's got security around him, and I'm like, why? Not security, but refs, like the refs officials come out and they're keeping him from going to the ring. And I'm like, why? Why this in particular? Because there's going to be a dozen, maybe not a dozen, but half a dozen run-ins, and people coming out during the rest of the evening. Where are the refs blocking these guys? Why are we blocking Swerve? Why are we keeping Swerve from going in there and conducting business with the Hurt Syndicate? Yeah. He's got a chain and he says full gear. He says Lashley full gear, which translates into him challenging Bobby Lashley for a match at Full Gear. And this angle has been tremendous. Like we're talking about angles that have just been put together so brilliantly. There you go. It was just fantastic. There were reports there were people saying, I don't want to say reports, but that Tony Khan signed Bobby Lashley to a contract a few hours before the show. And I'm like, no, come on now. Then we get a video package for the world title match at the Full Gear show between Jon Moxley and Orange Cassidy. And then Claudio and Pac come through the crowd with Wheeler Yuta. And we've got a Titantron. I don't want to call it the Titantron. That's not what I call it. I slipped up. A Tonytron there that has the words Death Riders pulled up right there. So the group is known as the Death Riders. And I don't know how anyone could have missed that they were called Death Riders. They started off the segment with a camera shot, a wide camera shot given you, but a camera shot nonetheless of the ring area, and you could see the all the way up the ramp to the video wall, and clearly right there, like in the big gigantic middle screen, it was written Death Riders. I don't know how anyone missed that. I don't know how anyone needed it shoved down their throat anymore. Plus, commentary was indeed talking about it. And I don't even listen all that much to commentary. I have it on, not on mute, but on low. But I heard the words Death Riders coming forward more than one time. So I don't know what the issue is. There's sometimes the punditry in pro wrestling create controversies where there are none to be had. There is no controversy to be had here as to whether or not AEW did a good job of communicating the name of Mox's new group as the Death Riders. The AEW did a very good job at communicating the name of Jon Moxley's new group known as the Death Riders. It's fine. That led us into Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy going to a no contest, against the Death Riders duo of Claudio Castagnoli and Pac. And I thought this was good. They go and attack. They, being the Death Riders, go off to attack Orange Cassidy while he's doing his entrance. But Darby Allin's waiting for them at the top of one of the tunnels, and he flings himself off onto them because it's Darby Allin and he's nuts. I thought this was a good little match. Fun little energy. It's exactly, you picture this match here, and it's exactly what you get, what you think you're going to get, and it's what you get when you think about it. When you think about it and what you get, it's exactly what you get. There's this incredible Claudio at some point breaks up a pinfall in this match where he grabs Orange Cassidy, if I do remember correctly, and he just swings him around into a backbreaker, and then he swings him around into a gut buster. Then he swings him around into a a backbreaker, but on the side, you know, and I'm like that is the most Claudio thing to break up a pin, right? He runs in, doesn't shove him off, doesn't like nudge him off or push him or, you know, hit him. No, he gut wrenches him, pulls him off, and then proceeds to just like, you know, to ragdoll him around. And that was so cool. That got a big reaction from me. Darby Allin gets the early hot tag, but he gets beaten up, of course, in a tremendous control segment by the Death Riders. And you know, they're running such great offense to keep Orange Cassidy out of the ring. Like, they come across as tactical, as smart wrestlers. You know, an army, that's what John Moxley keeps referring to them as, and they act like they're well put together, and it's tremendous. Avalanche Brainbuster by Pac, and this, Jesus Christ, you know, it's just one of these. But then Marina Shafir eventually comes in, and she kicks the ref, and that's that, and that's that. You know, it's not a DQ from, at least, you know, according to Cage Match, and I do believe that's what Excalibur said, that the match was thrown out. But technically, you know, I think it's a DQ. For a company that never did the DQ, right, and never, ever, like when they did it, you know, you could count them, you could count them on one hand, the times that they do it. Now they're doing this stuff a little more, you know, out the interference that actually physically ends the match, you know, and we've been seeing a lot more of it. Like, I think they've probably done it more times in 2024 than they had in the entirety of the first 5 years of AEW. I sincerely, I think someone would need to fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure the amount of DQs that have happened, or, you know, DQs or matches ended because of outside interference that force a no contest. I'm pretty sure. I'm willing to put to put it on the line. What on the line? My reputation. Warren, your reputation sucks. Who cares? You're right. So I won't put anything on the line. Yeah, I mean, just a good solid match. I tremendous. And we're not done with the angle though. Wait, I'm losing my spot here. So Marina kicks out the ref. Yeah, we have the whole angle. And Moxley then slips in and he goes after Cassidy. And then Darby comes in, swings a skateboard at him, and, you know, Mox just like, you know, and he walks out of the ring, you know, kind of like, you know, he was lifting a box, and he lifted with his back instead of his knees, you know, when you did that, and you know, you sort of walk it off. That's kind of what he did there. Yeah, everyone, the Death Riders beat up the baby faces here. Then Mox even holds up Cassidy to Wheeler Yuta, which is important here. And Yuta attacks Orange Cassidy, lays him out, and Mark Briscoe and the rest of the conglomeration run in, and the Death Riders take a powder. And that then leads us into our next match. But before we do get to the next match, we have Renee Paquette, because we go to commercial and then we come back and we have Renee Paquette, who's backstage with Ricochet, and she's like, who's your mystery partner, Ricochet? And Ricochet's like, well, I'm not going to tell you who my partner is. And then the Hurt Syndicate show up and they say, oh, we're keeping an eye on you, kid, you know, kind of thing. And they look at his suit, whatever. So you see more little breadcrumbs, setting up more stuff for the future. That leads us to the tag team match, the Fight Without Honor, trios match, I should say, 6-man tag match, where the conglomeration defeat the Learning Tree. The conglomeration last night was made up of Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, and Tomohiro Ishii. I thought this was very good. I thought this again was another very good match. And look, I asked this on Blue Sky, but I'm also asking you, friends fellow countrymen, women, what country exactly are we speaking of? The country of your heart, the country of love. What, you figure it out. I'm asking you though, is there anyone like over the past few months, is there anyone on that roster who works systematically as hard as Mark Briscoe does every week? Like systematically, every week he's out, no matter what the match is, he just anyone else who goes as balls to the wall as Mark Briscoe does. And I'm hard pressed to think, right? You know, if maybe Will Ospreay, you know, maybe because he wrestles quite he's had a little time away because he was selling the stabbing, right? And the landing on the neck thing. But who works as hard as him at every occasion? Like he's a madman here again. Ends the match with he does a froggy bow onto Chris Jericho, who was on a table, from the tippy tip top of a ladder. Mark Briscoe is doing this. Froggy bow's off. And I'm like, there was no reason to do this. Why are you doing this, Mark? Like, this is the most throwaway match on TV ever. It was good though. And Tomohiro Ishii gets the win by delivering the brainbuster on Chris Jericho and pinning him. So, you know, they had sort of set it up last week. Was it last week when Chris Jericho won the... no, it was the week before that Chris Jericho won the Ring of Honor Championship, right? They kind of hinted that Ishii would like a shot because he comes out after the match and sort of stares him down. So Ishii, you know, he's not doing the World Tag League in New Japan. He's sticking around doing some lazy American wrestling. So good for him. Good for him. I like him. Who doesn't like Tomohiro Ishii, quite frankly. Quite frankly. World Tag League, by the way. Kind of lackluster. I'm a very bad judge. I don't know why I'm talking about this on the AEW review. There's no reason to talk about it. But I'm a very bad judge of whether the Tag League, World Tag League, is good or not in New Japan, because I don't like it. Like, usually it's just like New Japan doesn't care about its tag team division, so why should I? That's always my my go-to. Like that's the base for me. Like, if you don't care about something, why should I care? And they have Shota Umino in a tag team with Tomoaki Hanma, and I'm like, okay, no, thank you. Yeah, Hiroshi Tanahashi and Jado. I'm like, no, thank you. Team mobility. Yeah, no Zandikan Jr. So I'm not interested. I'm not into it. You would have brought in Zandikan Jr. to team up with Yoda Sushi again. Now you got my interest. Now I'm peaked. Now, yeah, that's fine. Anyway, I don't know why I'm talking about this. What do we got next? Well, we check back in on the Death Riders, who are backstage. And John Moxley, John Moxley sort of grabs poor Wheeler Yuta like by the face and is like, come here. Or did he do that in the ring? No, I think he did that in the ring. But he basically talks to Orange Cassidy and says, look, Wheeler Yuta, he doesn't owe you anything. What? Because you gave him some gas money that one time. He slept on your couch that one time. He owes you shit. And I'm going to beat you. That's essentially it, right? Then this leads us to Adam Cole defeating Malakai Black. This was a very weird match. Don't you think? I can't be alone in this. I thought this was a really weird match. And like the entire first part of the match felt off, and at some point, they're rolling around and they're shoving each other out of the ring. I'm like, it looked like there was a huge break in communication and something had happened. And Malakai in this one here wants to fight fair, right? He's not going for the ankle, so he shakes a hand, and it's like, no, I'm not. We're doing this the right way, kind of thing. Yeah, look, I didn't think this was all that great. I didn't think this was a very good match. I know a lot of people were really turned off by Cole's match with Buddy Matthews last week. I actually enjoyed it. I feel like I'm a little bit on an island on that one sometimes, like last week. But I know a lot of people were turned off. But I wasn't. But I'm turned off by this. This I was like, this is kind of dumb. I don't know what's going on. It's a very weird match, and it felt like it came apart at some point early on, and it just lacked oomph. I don't know. There was no electricity to it. And some people will say, oh, well, it's Malakai Black. Oh, well, it's Adam Cole. Yeah, but, like at some point, come on now. Anyway, Cole gets the win. Cole gets the win with the boom after Malakai Black asks him to do it, right? Where he's like, come on, put me out of my misery. Do your thing. And he does it, and then he's dead. And then it's like, okay, well, whatever. An odd finish. It's not as if this was this tremendous epic. You know when the guy or the gal just can't take it anymore, and they're like on their knees, and they've been fighting for like 20, 25, 30 minutes, and then they're on their knees and they flip, they do the double bird, and then the guy basically conceding the match. Why was Malakai Black conceding the match here? Well, due to the fact that they hugged in the middle of the ring, and due to the fact that Adam Cole, thanked him and said, oh, in 16 years, he's been my toughest opponent. Thank you, Malakai. And they get it. They did a shot of Malakai Black looking around the arena, people chanting his name, And I'm like, that sort of fed a theory that he was leaving, that he was gone from Le Company. And, because, the persistent rumor when it comes to Malakai Black is that he can't wait to go back to WWE. That's essentially it, right? I don't know if there's any solid foundation in that outside of, people just, doing some wishful thinking and whatnot. People don't like Malakai. But, that led to a report from Fightful Select that basically said, to their knowledge, to Fightful's knowledge, Sean Ross Sapp's knowledge, Fightful, to their knowledge, Malakai Black wasn't going anywhere. He was still there for a couple of years, especially since, people had said, Tony Khan in 2022 said that Malakai Black had been signed for 5 years. But then apparently, and this came out of the report, that maybe a couple of years of those 7 years were options. So he may be, basically setting the table to go like, well, maybe he is on his way out. But then Malakai Black went to Instagram and, all right, here we go again. No, I'm not leaving. I'm staying here. I am still in AEW, and I'm not injured. I'm not retiring. I am still an AEW wrestler. I'm staying home, kind of thing. And that led to that led to a lot of people wiping the sweat off the brow. Thank goodness. And other people going, God damn you! They just want him gone for some reason. I don't like, he's so incredibly harmless in the, if Malakai Black, in his rumored dislike of jobbing and whatnot, if he were more involved in top storylines, maybe that would annoy me more, but he's firmly in the mid card. It doesn't matter. Like, people get so hung up on the weirdest things, and, it's not that big a deal. Not that I don't get hung up on weird things. But, you could also speculate, the guy's a pro wrestler. Maybe he's just working us. And that's entirely possible. He could just be sitting there and working the marks. Pentel Zero Miedo, not that long ago, had tweeted out, remember? He said, AEW is my present, right? Sure. My present is AEW, is, I think. Something to that effect. He used the word present. My present is AEW, or the AEW is my present, or whatever. And that's essentially what Malakai did, where he's like, yeah, I'm not going anywhere. What the fuck? Leave me alone. It's like, so, and he said, here's the thing. He said, whatever happens, I will tell you, don't go believing, anyone reporting stuff off the internet. And the thing is that, no, I don't believe you. That I don't believe you. You will never tell outright anyone, the internet, that you are leaving. You're going to wait to, that's not what wrestlers do. We know this. Come on now. Especially if you're going to the other place, they're going to want to keep that under wraps as much as possible. Just wanted to address that. Anyway, weird match. I'm not sure I liked it. And then Adam Cole talks to MJF, and he says that he's setting up he set up a match at Full Gear, and it's going to be a 3-way match. MJF versus Adam Cole versus Roderick Strong. Now he's getting the match. I think he has to win his next match next week, his third match, to get that match. But this is the match that he's setting up. So, it's all but going to happen, folks, right? Let's not be dopes about this. So, of course, this means that Roderick Strong is turning on him, right? This is, of course, what is happening. I still think my vision of this booking would have been so much better. The one that we talked about last week. Do you remember? I'll refresh your memory. Adam Cole comes to fight Buddy Matthews, and Buddy Matthews just destroys him. Well, maybe not destroys him, but beats him, okay? Which means that MJF won. MJF is like, nah, you didn't do it. You can't get to me, kind of thing. And Adam Cole is distraught. And for the next few months, you have Adam Cole trying to build back his confidence, trying to get back on his 2 feet, and loses. And he's losing. He's losing to all sorts of guys up and down the card. Then at some point, something happens, and, he gets back on his feet. He climbs back on that horse, and he's good to go again. Now he gets excited. Now he's into it, and now he's winning matches. And then it leads ultimately to MJF, and you could have a super hot angle either for the Texas Stadium show or the Australia one. You would have this extremely hot payoff. Now it's just like, no one ever doubted that no one ever doubted that Adam Cole was going to get his hands on MJF. It's just like, it's more a question of, when is this going to happen? But in the other sense, you break them down to build them back up. All in storyline, of course, like maybe this week he would have had his match with Malakai Black, and Malakai would have just, creamed him, just like completely shattered his jaw with the what does he call it? The end, the black mass, instead of having Adam Cole kick out of it, which is, I don't understand. Yeah, I mean, there would have been a lot of things you could have done. More interesting than this. So this all leads to MJF, using a high definition camera, watching live and being on high def for some reason, like this high quality 4K camera, 8K maybe even, making a call and saying, yeah, you gotta take care of a guy for me. And we'll come around to that later. So that's that. So that's where we're going. And Roderick Strong is turning on Adam Cole at Full Gear. I mean, that's it. It's like, this was the best they could do. Like, they have 27 people, or as we are told, they have 27 people in the creative team, working on creative for this company. And this is the best they could come up with. So we have 3 matches announced to determine new tag team champions, or to determine the challengers who will face Private Party, the 4 teams. So we're having a little I guess a kind of a tournament, single bracket knockouts. So that's going to be happening over the next couple of weeks leading into Full Gear. Renee is backstage. She is with Jay White. He gets jumped by Hangman Adam Page, and I'm whooping and hollering because I'm like, yeah, let's go. This is the Hangman we like. We want Hangman running in, beating up dudes, and he beats him up into the arena, and he's about to use a chair on him, but then Juice Robinson runs in like the Roadrunner and just snatches the chair out of Page's hands, and the tables get turned, and Jay White then starts getting some licks in on the Hangman. They get into the ring. Hangman actually tries to break Jay White's ankle. Like, anyway, all of this is fine. Like, it doesn't. I don't think we have to get into the details all that much. But maybe the ankle thing will have an incidence later on. And then Hangman hits the bricks. Jay's in the ring, and he starts cutting a promo, basically saying that I'm going to be the first guy to make you tap out. That's, re-aggravating a little bit that bad leg, that bum leg that Hangman has. So we might be heading towards a submission match or something like that, which would be interesting. I'm not going to lie. Why am I talking in this voice? But I really like this. I like these kind of angles where it's just guys beating up each other, and it's really easy, and it's simple as hell, and it's super effective, and it makes me hoot and holler in my living room, and the dog then wonders if I'm okay, and I look at the dog and I give her some pets, and I say, yep, I'm fine, it's just the Hangman, and we all move on with our lives. But this was great. This was fantastic. And at first I thought a babyface Jay White would be weird, but I'll be damned if it ain't working. Probably the most terrible segment of the night happens next, where Chris Statlander gets run over off camera by a car that is being driven by Camille, and in the passenger side seat is Mercedes Moné. We hear a ruckus. So we have Renee Paquette, who's talking into the camera after she's done talking with Statlander. She walks off camera, and then we hear a ruckus. We don't hear tires squealing. We don't hear nothing. Like, it's just like clank, 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 clank. And then the camera turns around and we see some barricades pushed over, and Chris Statlander's on the floor. She, by the way, was arriving with her suitcase. We were about, like an hour into the show? Statlander, you missed show call. You are super late. I hope she gets fined. So Camille is driving, and then we go inside the car, and Mercedes is berating Camille. She says, "You're good for nothing. What are you good for? You failed at this again." I'm kind of thing. It ends with Statlander slamming Mercedes onto the car. This was awful. Like, this was bad. Like, this was objectively a bad segment. It was poorly thought out. Like, this is the kind of thing that sounds better in your head, but then when you put it, excuse me, what was that? Woo! That was like a hiccup and a burp. I don't think the burp came out. Like, I think that stayed silent, because we're a classy act here on the Mr. Warren Hayes show. We hold a certain level of etiquette here. So, what was that? And I lost my train of thought. God damn. I lost my train of thought because of this. Look, the point is that the thing stunk. It was a terrible segment. Oh no, that's it. So it's a good idea when you're thinking about it. You're like, oh, we could probably pull this off. And then the producer gets his hands on it and says, oh, we could do this. And you can't really do like someone revving up a car, and doing the screeching and, just in case something awful happens, which you wouldn't want to really happen. So they do a lot of smoke and mirrors, and the smoke and mirrors stink, and the result is just bad and cringe. I'll tell you what's not cringe. Christian Cage cutting a 5-star promo once again as he heads to the ring with the patriarchy. Realizes that Kip Sabian is a fatherless loser just like the rest of us. And he says, the moment that he realized that Kip only had his best interests in mind was when he kept when he stole the pen from Christian Cage from signing the contract and cashing in on I don't remember when, but cashing in that one time. And then he ran backwards. Well, that would have been very awkward. He shouldn't have done that. But he ran backstage after Kip. And then we saw that shot of Pac and Claudio where you're like, why were these guys here waiting for him? What was supposed to happen? Oh, I think what was supposed to happen was they were going to beat the shit out of Christian Cage if he was going to cash in. And that's how this worked out. And again, like, this is another good example of a breadcrumb having a payoff. I'm telling you, they're doing really good with their storytelling. Anyone who still hangs on to the hope of, to the cope, I should say, of AEW not being good because they don't tell stories is completely off base. Every fucking thing on this show has a story. I would actually be excited for more random ass matches as opposed to everything having a purpose all the time. Just one match every 2 weeks where it's just like you just plop two guys in and it's a cool fucking match, right? Everything has a story, and this continued moving the story forward, and this is the payoff we got. So we finally understood that Kip was just trying to get his attention, looking out for him, and he says that Kip's done for him more. He's done more for him than his other sons, and then pulls him in for a hug. Turns his back on Nick Wayne to hug him too, and Nick Wayne is giving them massive side-eyeing by young Nick Wayne here. Anyway, they have a security detail out there, in full tactical gear and ski masks, and I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like these ain't your run of the mill, wrestling security dudes. Like, these guys will probably keep away just about anyone, right? Well, they didn't. Hook managed to run it. Anyway, the Hook comes out and Christian Cage explains himself saying, I just wanted to be a good role model for you because your father never was. I needed to get him out of your ear, And here, ask yourself one thing. Why didn't Taz ever tell you that it was me? Why did he have you look at the security footage? Why did he demand that you figure it out on your own? Because he's not a good dad, ultimately, is what he's trying to say. He doesn't love you. I'm a good dad, so on and so forth. And he says, clearly there's tension and whatnot. And he outright says that he wishes Hook's father was dead. It was a great build to that. An incredible promo. Like, Christian Cage never, ever, ever misses, but here we go with another 5-star promo by him. Just tremendous, entertaining, Weasley, snake oil, hypocritical stuff, like just tremendous, manipulative, just amazing stuff. He's so good. There's not a lot of guys on that roster who cut promos like him. With that energy, that vibe. Anyway, Hook goes after him, and they hit the bricks, and Hook says that he's going to take all of you out one by one. Alrighty then. Alex Marvez he's backstage with Don Callis trying to start up an interview, and then this dude walks in, like a huge dude in his suit, looks good. Alex Marvez looks at the guy, and I think he was legitimately surprised because he goes, "Who are you?" Like, he's like it wasn't like like I even put it on a little too much. Like, if there was something so sincere about it and so natural about his "Who are you?" Like, it was fantastically funny. And that's when the guy gives Don Callis some money and proposes to him, right? He has the ring. Gives him the little ring thing. What do you call it? A ring clasp, a ring box, a box for the ring, a ring container. What do you call that? The ring, the box that the ring comes in. There's got to be a name for that, right? The ring, the ring carrier, the ring basket, the ring bed, the bed of the ring. Is it a bed? Kind of looks like a bed. Looks comfy. You know, you sort of, you know, you sink the ring into it. You know, kind of like when you get into a nice comfy bed. You're like, you know, you feel like you're sinking into it. The ring bed, is that what it is? Is it the ring mattress? The ring bed? The point is that Don Callis, the guy plays a voicemail of MJF asking Don Callis to do something about Adam Cole next week. And we're basically getting, so first of all, this is not the first time that Adam Cole, MJF and Don Callis work together, if I'm not mistaken, right? That, or at least that MJF hires Don Callis to do some of his dirty work. So nice continuity there. I appreciate it. By the way, it's the Dynamite Diamond ring that's in the ring bed. And we're getting Adam Cole versus Konosuke Takeshita next week as his third match, his being Adam Cole's third match. And that kind of pisses me off. Because that means Takeshita's going to lose, isn't it? And I'm like, fuck this shit. Like, Takeshita shouldn't lose. Like, he just got pinned in the main event last night for I feel proper storyline reasons, but I felt like they were finally like pushing the guy, like giving him some vibes, and he's going out there and he's having tremendous matches every time. Yeah. The only reason why I don't, we talk about, let's say you're going to say Konosuke Takeshita works as hard as Mark Briscoe. I'm like, I don't know. Like, he's a hard worker, don't get me wrong. He's a phenomenal pro wrestler. I think he's one of the best in the world right now, a top 10. We can argue top 5 if we want to. But he doesn't wrestle that hard every week, where Mark Briscoe just like, he does. He just like empties himself out every Wednesday. But nonetheless, I'm kind of annoyed by this. I'm kind of annoyed. Like, Takeshita, I don't understand. I don't understand what Tony Khan's idea is here, where, with all due respect to Adam Cole, I don't understand how he sees more value in Adam Cole than he does in Konosuke Takeshita, where, to the point where it's like Takeshita will be a stepping stone in this story. That it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand. Oh, they might do they might, do a DQ next week. I mean, that's the fresh new thing in AEW. They're being fresh. They're doing new things. They're doing DQ. So we might do that to protect. Because we got to protect guys now. Everyone needs protection. Jamie Hayter defeated Penelope Ford in a mercifully short match. Ford is who she is. Jamie Hayter is very good, and she gets the crowd into it, right, with her final comeback. Great stuff. There's nothing you can say about Jamie Hayter. Penelope Ford, you can, but I don't want to get into it. Mina Shirakawa is coming next week. And then we get a hype video for Kazuchika Okada and by association, the Continental Classic. So mark your calendars, folks. The first time we heard talk about the Continental Classic was on the for 2024 was on the November 6th edition of AEW Dynamite. Now that got me hooting and hollering as well. Before we get into the Okada stuff, I'm excited about the Continental Classic. I think the Continental Classic was a highlight of AEW last year. 2023 was a dismal year creatively for the company, and they finished it up so strong with the Continental Classic, despite, one of your block finals or group finals as they call them, was a 3-way, and you're like, this is kind of weird. And this thing that's supposed to be pure wrestling, pure sports based, you're doing 3-ways to finish off a block. It's kind of strange. It's a little weird. It's a little strange. But throughout, I thought the tournament rocked, and I thought the finals rocked. I like, everything was excellent. So naturally, myself and a lot of people as well are excited for the C2 to come back this year. And but we hadn't heard anything about it. So was it just a pipe dream? Were we just gonna abandon it moving forward? No, it's back. Now, Tony Khan, I know you're listening. No, I don't. I actually don't. But there's a fair chance that people who know Tony Khan are listening. So I'd like you, at the very least, to clip this part and send it to Tony, if you don't mind. This is what we need for the C2 this year. Because in the promo package, you're talking that followed. Y'all are talking about the C2 being this one of the great tournaments, one of the great sport tournaments in pro wrestling, and hyping up its prestige. I think there's a little way to go, but we're off to a good start. It's not after 1 year that you suddenly become like on par with some of the great wrestling tournaments. The G1 is still the most significant one. So but you can get there one thing at a time. And I have no problem with you promoting. I have no problem with promoters promoting. That's what you have to do, right? That's fine. So that doesn't bother me. But if you want to truly show that you believe that, and it's not just hype, well then do us a favor, Tony. Give us, Comrade Tony, do us a favor. Give us what we didn't get last year. The dates announced ahead of time for the entire tournament, the full field before the day of. Do your little. I thought the little the little presentation that he did with Tony Khan with Tony Schiavone that they did together. The sort of the overview show. I don't remember what they called it. The preview. I think that was good, but they did it the day of. I want you to give us content creators. I want you to give us the reasons to talk about the tournament and get hyped for it beforehand, before the tournament actually starts, so we can speculate and do bracketology with the groups, and speculate. That's what's fun about tournaments, especially in these round robin situations. This is a lot of fun. And you're talking about a guy who covers the G1 every summer, every day. So I'm okay. I know what to do. I know how to handle this. And it's fun and it's cool. And on top of it, Tony, it's free advertising, because for the next 2 weeks, 10 days, however long before the tournament starts, you announce your blocks and you announce your dates. You're going to be dominating a lot of the wrestling conversation on podcasts anyway, and even fans are going to get into it. And that's what people are going to start talking. Isn't that what you want? Isn't that what you need? You sort of want people to talk about AEW in a positive, exciting light? Well, there you go. All you need to do is a couple of weeks before, just drop all the info. Hell, if we're negotiating here, I have to do a little give and take. Warren, I can't drop the whole thing. I can't give the whole thing. All right. Keep the dates. Give us the names. The names. That's all we want, really. The dates, it's whatever. The names, but the schedule, man. That's what makes the G1 great. And don't announce. Do like the G1 does on your final night of action for the groups. You don't announce the match orders. You just let them there, and then we have to speculate which is going first. It's so easy, Tony. Tony, it's so easy. Someone tell Tony, did you clip this? Did you send it to Tony Khan? Clip it and send it to Tony Khan. It's so easy. So this leads us to Kazuchika Okada. I feel like, okay, so it's pretty clear that he's going to be, it's actually very clear that he's going to be in the tournament. And in this video here, they were establishing that he's a major tournament wrestler, and winning the Continental Classic last year, as he says, is his 5th major tournament win. Counting his 4 G1 Climax wins, winning the belt off of Eddie Kingston is what happened. Kazuchika Okada did not win the tournament. Eddie Kingston did. And then Okada won the belt off of Eddie Kingston in Eddie Kingston's saga of I'm losing all the belts I won, right? and he's oh, hang on a second. It's a disaster happening in my kitchen right now. Sorry about that. We're leaving it in. We got to get this out. So basically Okada is saying, I'm ready to, this is my fifth one. I'm ready to go into this and become the greatest major tournament wrestler of all time. And, and I just completely lost it. I laughed, didn't completely lose it. Let's be sincere here. But I had a good chuckle when he said, Chono who of course is the man who has won the most G1s in G1 history at 5. If you want to get pedantic about it, it's like, actually, it's Antonio Inoki who won 10. Well, actually, Antonio Inoki won most of those before the G1 was called the G1 in its former incarnation. So there you go. I win the battle of actuallys. So Okada technically has like 4 G1 wins, and Chono has 5, and now Okada's acting like the C2 was on the level, right? It's a fantastic heel promo. I'm all for it. I'm excited to see what kind of image rehabilitation they're going to have to do, because I really feel like this incarnation of the Elite has gone bye-bye now that the Bucks have hit the bricks. So are we going to continue getting goofy Okada who's just going around trying to make his buddies laugh? Or are we going to get something a little more serious? Something a little more Okada-esque? We'll see. We'll see. And then the main event, Ricochet and his mystery partner, which happened to be Powerhouse Hobbs, defeated Konosuke Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher. Powerhouse Hobbs in the spot. I liked it. I thought that was good. I am very pro Powerhouse Hobbs in these big situations. So he's back from injury. He's looking good. Like this was a good spot to return him, and made the connection where it's like, Ricochet did it when his short promo when he came out. His contract is coming up with the Don Callis family, and we know that the Don Callis family has contracts. We know this. This has been established. And, they seem to have forgotten about him. They maybe won't even be renewing him. So he's coming out for a pound of flesh, and we get the match. Good match. Ricochet doing a moonsault off of Hobbs' shoulders to the floor. Dope. That was awesome. And boy, does he eat shit while building for the hot tag for Powerhouse Hobbs. That was tremendous. And Hobbs and Takeshita, they start throwing bombs at each other to the point that people are chanting meat to going around. Like, that was fantastic, right? Ricochet gets the win with the spear gun, the thing where the semaphore that he does. You know what semaphore is? You've heard of semaphore? You know what semaphore is? Look it up. Pull up a window, look it up. Look up semaphore. SEMPHORE. SEMAPHORE. 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 Check out semaphore. You're going to find out what semaphore is. You're going to learn something today if you don't know what semaphore is. If you do know what semaphore is, well, ahoy. So that means essentially that Ricochet is going to officially get a match with Konosuke Takeshita for the international title. I thought that was pretty good. Pretty good match. Good showing. Oh, Will Ospreay, of course, comes out at the end. Well, hang on. I'm jumping. I'm jumping through things. Like, cause I apologize, but I'm looking at the time and I'm like, gee, I have to get this out and I have to set up the stream. That's what it is. So, look, after the match, the heels go after the baby faces. They beat them up. He being Fletcher sets Ricochet up for a Tiger Driver. Then we have the Aussie Open theme that hits, and Mark Davis shows up. And I'm like, hopefully this isn't the only run-in, because that landed a little flat because no one remembers Mark Davis. Like, Mark Davis came to AEW, had a cup of coffee, and was injured out. But he comes in, he gets a little overwhelmed because Callis's team of Lance Archer and Brian Cage run in and they wreck shit. I love this team so much. Like this is such a good pairing. This is such a good, solid pairing. And then Adam Cole runs in and he brawls to the back with Konosuke Takeshita because they're having the fight next week. And then finally the Bruv comes out, Will Ospreay, and he chases everyone off. Fletcher almost eats a hidden blade. But he's able to escape, and we're saving all of this for later. Will Ospreay is back. This is all good. Solid angle to end the show. Good little match. Like, there's nothing really. Was it a great show? Great Dynamite? No. Was it a good one? Yes. I thought this was a good episode. I was entertained. I think that, like, the really low points were I mean, there's two segments here. You know, the Adam Cole Malakai Black match and the disaster that was the car crash. You see, are they being meta with us? Was this just meta? Is this just meta now that they're doing? Or are they like, oh, this is like a car crash? It is exactly a car crash. This is exactly what a car crash is. So there you go. No, but we you know, outside of those two things, I thought everything connected, everything worked, and they're doing such a good job making these stories connect week after week. Everything makes sense. Everything is connecting, and they're even giving you incentive to watch Rampage and Collision because there's stuff happening there that impacts what happens on Dynamite and so on and so forth. So I thought this was a good episode. I thought it was a good episode. Solid wrestling angles, good. There you go. I'm satisfied. I thought this. End the show and I'm like, this is pretty good. So hopefully it continues 2 weeks in a row. Last week I thought was tremendous. I thought it was a tremendous show last week. This week, very good. Let's keep going. Well, no, let's keep going with Dynamite. But me, I gotta end this. I gotta go get stuff ready. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for your patience. Apologies for the lateness. Hope you enjoyed the review. 5 stars, likes, subscriptions, all that jazz. Join and subscribe to the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. There's streams multiple times a week when life permits it. Otherwise, I'll be back on Wednesday for the Mr. Warren Hayes Show proper. So there you go. I hope you all have a great rest of your week. Thank you again. Go watch some Randy Orton and get back to me. And I'll see you next time.